Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. That's a new Lamborghini that's coming out next year. It's £500,000 with options here in Britain, and over in America be around $650,000-700,000 with options. I personally wouldn't buy one. I'm just far too old now to be seen driving around in a car like that. Anyway, as you know, on YouTube there's lots and lots of videos of women in the 30s, 40s and 50s complaining on TikTok that either they can't get a guy to commit or they divorce their husband and they found that the dating game isn't the same anymore, and they're all complaining about it, and some want to get back with their husband. Now that's starting to have sort of an effect on the US media, as I found this. Now this is a site called regain.us, it's a US site, and this article is specifically aimed at American women who are 40 and are still single. Single, as you can see, it says 40 and single, how to navigate and enjoy singlehood in your 40s. Now this is a online therapy site. As you know, American women go into therapy, which is generally the therapist is another American woman, and she tells the therapist patient what she needs to do to keep her feeling happy and pleased with herself. So if you drop down, it says 5 tips for navigating singlehood in your 40s. They fight the stigma. Make time for the people activities you love. That is a woman's thing, but it could also come with a guy. They never settle. It says never settle for never settle for incompatible partner. So even in the 40s, excuse me, they still are as picky as they were in the 20s and 30s. And it says the good news is your intuition is likely stronger than it was in your 20s and 30s. Well, you could say that the same for American men, because they've seen how female nature is. Give your confidence a boost, that's another woman's thing. Live in the moment, that's another woman's thing. And then to boost her ego, 7 reasons why being single at 40 is fabulous. You call the shots, so you can be spontaneous, living space is completely yours. Well, I can agree with that. You don't have to negotiate how to spend your divide. You think more clearly. You can learn to love yourself just as you are. That's another American woman thing. You won't waste precious time arguing. Well, that's obvious, because if you're on your own, who are you going to argue with? And then it's just what to do. Enjoy single, and it advertising the website. Now, the American establishment is starting to wonder why there's so many 40-year-olds. So looking around, I found this Time article, single at 40, and they're blaming the economy. That's the reason why. It gives me a generic thing, but if you drop down to this is a bit interesting. This is 1900, this is 2021. As you can see, in the 30s was the Depression years, 40s America entered World War II, the fighting got finished, and the American economy started booming in the 50s. All the good times, you've all seen the pictures, the white picket fences, everything, the happy American population, because they had a future. The 60s, 70s stagnating. Ronald Reagan got in the 80s because the economy was a bit moribund, borrowed a lot in the 90s and onwards. Now, first wave feminism started around 1894, which is about here. Second wave feminism started here. Third wave feminism started here. Fourth wave feminism started here. But here, the MGTOW philosophy more or less started. As you can see, there's not many people single in the 40s in this area, traditional American women. Just few, and then the 50s, the rebellious era, and you drop by 3% in the 60s, age of rebellion in the 70s, counterculture, then the Ronald Reagan got in, the 6%, and then the third wave feminism kicked in, rose by 4%. MGTOW philosophy got circulated in the American population. The males population rose by 5%. Fourth wave feminism kicked in, and then another 5% rose in. As you can see, there's a direct correlation between MGTOW and feminism. If you drop down, it says, in other ways, this news is remarkable since it reflects not just the turn away from the institution of marriage, i.e. I don't need no man, but a rejection of the idea of pair bonding. That's where feminism comes in. Just 1 in 5 unmarried 40 to 44-year-olds are living with a romantic partner. Cohabitation is not replacing marriage as a living arrangement. But if you're cohabiting, the family courts, especially if the children, can still take half your stuff. That's why more and more guys are turning away from even cohabiting. And then it goes on about the economy, and then blah, blah, blah. And the final thing is, now that we're getting into older ages and start to think about support issues, who's going to take care of them as they proceed in their relative older age? That means 40-year-olds who are going to look after you when you get old. Now, 40-year-olds, they were born around the early 1980s. So they'd be teenage years then, entering high school or college at this age, when third wave feminism kicked off. When they got in the 20s, they understood MGTOW, they've heard of that. Fourth wave feminism kicked off, and then we had the pandemic, etc. So as you can see, there is a link between people staying single in their 40s and the rise of feminism and MGTOW. Now, I also found this. This is Zero Hedge. Now, this is read by the Wall Street crowd because it's sort of a financial blog on that goes into social events and politics, etc. And as you can see, this was done on the 4th of July this year, or about a week or so ago. A record number of 40-year-olds have never been married. It says a quarter of 40-year-olds in the United States, 40% have never been married, a record number. Most living alone, just 22% of never married 40 to 44-year-olds living with a romantic partner. Now, if you drop down, where is it? It says, in the 1970s, guys were getting married aged 23. Today, guys are getting married at 30. Excuse me, I've just had some coffee and a frog in my throat. And for women in the 1970s, the woman was 21, right in the middle of her fertile and peak period. Today, it's 28 in 2021. Now, she's 4 years past her prime year. 18 to 24 is a woman's prime year when she's at her most beautiful and she's at her most fertile. A guy's not getting in his prime till about 30 now, 30 to 40. So why should he marry a pre-wall woman aged 28 when he can marry a hot-looking woman at 21, get her in her prime? That's been repeated on all these MGTOW channels. Now, where is it? This one. This was interesting. There are various reasons marriage is losing ground in America. Some of them are social, which I've shown on this. There is very little public stigma around being single. Singlehood is now an accepted thing. The Sex and the City and all that bullshit. Others including the sexual revolution, i.e. the contraceptive pill, the feminist movement, the declining rates of religious observance. It's, those of you in America will know that Americans are not as religious today as they were in the 50s, 60s and to a degree the 70s. Now it all boils down to there's more single 40-year-olds than ever been married than ever been before. Now the J.P. Morgan did the report that by 2030, just 7 years from now, 45% of American women will be in this category. And as a result, the establishment in America, that throng then, will still be wondering why, and it's going to have a dramatic effect, as in there'll be no children being born, which means there'll be classrooms will be empty because there's nobody to fill them. And things like this, therapists are going to be a boom trade because so many 40-year-old single women in America are going to accept therapists because they're upset and they can't understand why they can't get a guy. Well, the simple reason is all you got to do is look at this graph to understand why and the historical context. It all started around about the 1960s. As you can see, it dropped a bit and then shot up. And this is the result. I think I'm on the 10-minute mark now, so I'll have to leave it at that. You know the routine, people. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe. It's completely up to you. So until next Monday, I'll try and find some more on this topic, but don't count on it. That's it for now. Bye-bye.